Welcome to another episode of the Nigerian Kitchen. The tiny Nigerian Kitchen. Actually, not just any episode, but the final episode of season 1. I cannot believe it. Today, I'm going to be making another Nigerian snack called chin chin. That's right, welcome to another episode of the Nigerian Kitchen. Like I said, this is the final episode of season 1. I cannot believe it. Honestly, when I decided to reboot the channel, I wasn't sure how many episodes I would make, if I would be able to keep up a schedule of 1 episode a week, and I cannot believe I've made it this far and made this many episodes. It's been really, really great. Now, this doesn't mean Nigerian Kitchen is ending. Actually, there'll be other episodes coming out, but I'm going to take it in a slightly different direction. I'm going to be calling that season 1.5, and I've got ideas already in place for season 2, but more about that to come. Let's dive into today's recipe, chin chin. So let's dive into the recipe. Now, chin chin is a little bit like, I guess, tiny little biscuits, or Americans might call them cookies. And so the ingredients here are flour, and I've got 250 grams of just plain flour. Then I've got some milk, so we've got evaporated milk, 60 ml, just some normal skimmed milk, let's not spill that. That's about 40 mils. I've got 80 grams of sugar. I've got 1 egg. I've got 70 grams of butter. And then some nutmeg that I'm going to grate in. And I'm going to use a little teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, so let's get in there. Okay, so first thing is going to be to put in the sugar. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then we are going to mix in our butter. Now, you can use margarine for this recipe, but much like the meat pie episode that I did a couple of months ago, you're gonna get slightly different results in terms of the texture of the finished product if you use margarine or butter. So they're both fats, but butter has slightly less water. So it's gonna end up being a bit crunchier. So I want slightly soft and crunchy, and I prefer the butter taste, so that's why I've opted for butter. But you have to be careful with the amount of liquid you incorporate. If you incorporate too much, if you remember, the liquid really helps with the gluten networks of the flour coming together. It can end up being pretty rock hard, and maybe that's what you want for chin chin. So if you want yours really hard, you might put in more liquid. If you want it quite crunchy, then you want to use more fats. I probably should have grated in the nutmeg before I got my fingers all floured up. So I'm going to do that right now. Now I've dispersed the butter all through the flour. So it's now time to put in the wet ingredients. 1 egg. Okay, then the evaporated milk, the skimmed milk, and then I'm just going to work that through with my fingers. I can't get it off my fingers. Okay, so we've mixed everything through. We don't want to overwork it because again we'll get it ending up very tough. So once everything looks like it's combined well, I just want to make it into dough. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap this in cling film and then leave it to rest for about 15 minutes. Again, that's just to help the gluten networks within the flour to come together a bit, so that again this isn't super crunchy. It's got a nice crunch and crumbliness, but it still holds together well. Let's wash my fingers and wrap this up. Okay, so I've let that rest now for about 15 minutes. So it's time to roll it out, then cut it up into our tiny little chin chin pieces. Now, I think it depends on you how you like your chin chin. I'm going to go for about a centimetre. And this doesn't have to be exact. I'm just cutting very roughly. And I like small chin chin, so yeah, there we go. But sometimes in Nigeria, I remember I'll have really long ones, you know, you bite off bit by bit. I like the ones where you kind of just pick it out. You can even mix it with some nuts. That's about right. I'm going to dust it with a bit of flour so that it all stick together. Put it into my bowl here. I'm going to roll out the other 2 pieces of dough, get them cut up, and then we can start the frying process. Okay, so everything's cut up, ready to fry. So let's get our pan frying. You want to put enough oil so that it's not a shallow fry. I don't want to overfill it though, because actually this will bubble up a bit. So maybe just under half. And I'm just using normal vegetable oil. There we go. Okay, so the oil should be hot enough. We'll just test one. If it bubbles and starts to rise quite quickly, then it should be hot enough. There we go. We want to fry for a few minutes until they're golden brown. And you want to be careful not to overload the pan as well, otherwise the heat will drop too much and actually this will soak a lot of oil. I'm going to drop the heat a little bit because these are browning quite quickly. And I want them in there for about 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah, these are a bit over brown, so drop the heat. So the next one should be more golden brown rather than brown. I normally say brown means flavor, but actually in this case we don't want it. We want it golden. So these fry quite quickly, 1 minute to maximum 2 minutes, depending on your heat. Yeah, these are great. So this is a good level now. Nice. This is more like the color that I'm after. Lovely golden brown. So I'm going to fish these out now. Yes, there we go. That is the chin chin that I know. So I've dropped the heat right on that. And we're frying for about 1 minute. And we are done. So that was a bit of trial and error on my part as well. It's actually the first time I've made chin chin, the season ender. And the pieces I cut initially actually were far too big. The oil initially was a little too hot, but I managed to finally get the size and color I was after at the end. So if you look at these ones, they're tiny little nuggets, which will make them a little bit more crunchy as well. And it's actually the kind of chin chin I'm used to. Although again, it's up to you, make it whatever size you like. You can see the difference then. So all there is to do is munch. I'm gonna fill up this little, oh, this is so good because it's still warm as well. If you leave it for a little while, they'll also firm up, which is even better. But I cannot resist having a little munch of chin chin right now. I'm going to load this right up. There we go. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Nigerian chin chin. Delicious. First ever time making that. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, again, I just want to say a massive thank you to the support, to the comments, to the questions, to the encouragement all of these months. Like I said, do stay tuned. There is more to come from this channel. Season 1.5, I'll be doing some reactions to old videos, old unreleased videos, some of my recent videos. I'll be talking a little bit about this Bad Boy Bangers, as I think some of my regular viewers know, the restaurant I've opened in Shanghai and the sausage brand that I have, and I'll be talking a little bit about my story of how I got into the food and beverage industry in China. So do subscribe if you haven't already, press that bell notification to be alerted when new episodes come out. Leave questions and comments below. See you next time. Thank you.